Hello, I'm Tony Guida. This is my New York. Like the Greyhound bus rider in Paul Simon's ballad, Counting the Cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, today we all come to look for America. And good thing we have a talented and trusty guide. Dan Barry roamed the two-lane blacktops of this country for 10 years, writing luminous dispatches for a New York Times column called This Land. Now he's collected several dozen of those columns in a new book, This Land, America Lost and Found. Dan Barry's Postcards from the Edge and Elsewhere. Next. Dan Barry, a delight to have you here, and
Thanks
a
so
delight to read whatever you write in the paper. Write more. Well, you write a lot. You're working hard. This Land, where did that come from? How did that begin?
Many years ago, I was writing the About New York column, which is kind of a hallowed column at the New York Times.
Yeah.
And then Hurricane Katrina happened, and I felt the urge to go down to the Gulf Coast, which is not part of the 5 boroughs of New York, but I prevailed upon my editors, and I spent a long time down there. And I went back again and again to chronicle what was happening in New Orleans and also along the Gulf Coast. And it kind of sparked in me a wanderlust. There's enough to write about in these 5 boroughs, Lord knows, but I just felt that I hadn't seen enough of the rest of the country. And so from the About New York column grew the idea of trying to do a column like About New York with that kind of familiarity, but around the country. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's absurd, but it grew out of my experiences in Katrina.
Well, I think you wrote that one of your experiences there was seeing a body, a black man's body, covered but feet sticking out, on the street, ignored for couple of days. Oh,
several days. We came upon it. I couldn't believe that there was a body in the middle of a street in a major city in the United States. And it also had a traffic cone at its head. And it was quite upsetting because it had been there for several days, and I alerted the police, and the police said, oh, well, I'm the guy who put the traffic cone there so that the TV trucks won't drive over it. Oh, and I came back the next day, and the photographer I was working with, Nicole Benjavino, and I were wondering, there's no way that body will be there another day. And sure it was. And it raises the question whether that body would have remained there had it been that of a white man. So that also prompted me to say, wow, there's a lot going on in this country. Let's wander around.
So the name This Land, I take it, is named after Woody Guthrie's.
I grew up on Woody Guthrie through Pete Seeger.
Yeah.
I mean, that was basically the background music in my house.
Good musical education.
Sure.
Yeah, I was curious that you referred to Woody's This Land Is Our Land as his subversive masterpiece. Explain that.
Well, I think it was, I may be wrong, but I think it was in response to kind of the treacly sensibility of Irving Berlin's God Bless America. And Guthrie was trying to be more grounded in what was really going on. And so if you look at the less famous verses, he is saying, you know, this land is for all of us. It's not always realized that way, but he's really celebrating it is for all of us. It's kind of a reminder.
Despite the conditions that may prevail that suggest it's not for all of us.
Right, he's speaking about segregation among many other things.
Yeah. So This Land, 10 years, 2007 to 17, all 50 states. The ideas came from you, your editors, I guess. How did they get?
Never the editors. Never the editors.
Never the editors.
You know, it came from a kind of a combination of things. Mostly it was my curiosity.
It's the best thing for a reporter,
it
curiosity.
It is. And sometimes it was off the news. a tornado would touch down in Oklahoma or somewhere, is there a way to write about that in a fresh way? And so it was mostly me just saying, geez, I haven't been to Iowa lately. What's going on in Iowa? And then I would read the virtual newspapers. I would go online, but I wouldn't read the major city newspapers, say in Iowa's case, the Des Moines Register. I would look at smaller newspapers in Waterloo or Clear Lake or somewhere like that. And then even at that point, I would go even deeper to look at the community briefs and the little news briefs and the police blotter and see what was really going on there. And invariably something would spark my imagination. Then I would have to prevail upon my editor to say, hey, there was a phone booth knocked down in Arkansas. I need to go see that.
And you did, and we'll talk about that. But I want to start with an early column, 2008, from a place called Bill, Wyoming. Right. Bill, Wyoming. And before Dan tells you the story, let me share with you some of the prose, some of the poetry in Dan Barry's prose. This is from the town called Bill, and the opening sentences. For decades, this speck of a place called Bill had 1, 2, or 5 residents, depending on whether you counted pets. But recent developments have increased the population to at least 11, so that now Bill is more a dot than a speck, and could be justified if one day it started to call itself William. It doesn't get any better than that.
That was fun.
Tell us a little bit about Bill, Wyoming.
It really is nothing there, but it's there's a train transfer station for the trains that are taking ore out of some of the land in Wyoming, and so it was realized that this transfer station where rail workers would switch needed a place to stay, and some low-cost motel built a motel in the middle of nowhere, and so that was the thought, that here in the middle of nowhere you could drive many, many miles before you see another living human being, and here is this 3 or 4 story hotel, and it was well used, and the carpet was all damaged already. It was brand new because the railway workers have cleats almost that they use, and they would track up into the lounge. I think you talked about residents calling it the Bill Ritz-Carlton. Absolutely. There was nothing else to compare to. And a diner, with a 24-hour diner. Yeah. So Bill, Wyoming exists as a place where train crews can get a night's rest. Did you stay in? Oh yeah. Yeah. And how was it? It was fine. It was fine. And actually, there's nothing really else in Bill except a bar. And so the night before, we went to the bar and hung around with the trainmen, and a tough crowd, and a welcoming crowd. I bet they are. Talking to Dan Barry about his collection called This Land, collection of columns. And I think it's best, as Dan did, wandering around the country. You don't read this book, front to back, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. You wander through it, you poke around, and you mentioned Prairie Grove, Arkansas, a piece you wrote about the telephone booth. Yeah. Talk to us about the telephone booth. And that's an example of something I had seen in a community brief. I don't think it made the headlines in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Yeah, I doubt it. Which attracted me, quite frankly. A woman was coming home after preparing for a yard sale, and she was tired, and she nodded off while at the wheel, and she veered off the road, and she hit a telephone booth that was outside of an old motel, and knocked it over. And telephone booth, for you folks who may not, it's a big, tall thing. Watch the old Superman movies. You'll see what a telephone booth is. Well, that's exactly what struck me about it. A telephone booth, and it was a remnant of another time. It was a remnant of how we used to communicate. And so the town recognized this, and there was an effort to restore it. The telephone company said, we'll restore it. And so despite the fact that it brings in like $2 a year. Right, so once a year, one of the telephone company's employees would go there, and he he would empty it of its nickels and dimes, and he told me, the most he'd ever gotten was $2 or $3 a year.
Yeah.
But the guy who was repairing it actually remembered this telephone booth from when he was a young man, when he was a teenager. And he would be coming home from town. He was on his way home after, say, a drive-in movie or something. Yeah. And he would stop and call his mom to tell her that he was all right. And he might stop for an ice cream soda or something.
Patrick Smith.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I found that so beguiling and so wonderful that this is how we would communicate. You would stop, you would put money into the slot, and you would dial. And what a feeling it was when you were a young teenager to hear your mother's voice on the other line. It's not quite the same, I don't suppose, these days.
I observe, not that I'm great with a so-called smartphone, but people don't use it as a phone even. It's a phone, but it's not a phone. Everybody texts.
Right.
They don't use it.
That young man today would text his mother, but that's not the same as hearing her voice, her disembodied voice.
Sure. You're talking about Patrick Smith, the man who repaired the phone booth, and his love for this thing when he was a kid. And here's some more of what Dan Barry gives us. He talks about the sight of Superman's, this is Dan Barry's poetry, the sight of Superman's see-through closet, an arrangement that made sense only if you didn't try to make sense of it, filled the boy with wonder. And so he repaired the thing.
Right.
And I would love the epilogue. It's on the register, the National Historic Register now, this phone booth.
Right, so the New York Times has a little part of that because it raised the profile of this solitary phone booth in Arkansas.
Well, good for you guys. Let's talk about, I was going to talk about a story I once did for the Today Show when I was wandering the country for a few minutes, 6 months maybe, and wound up in a place called Carabel, Florida, on the Gulf Coast of the Panhandle, and this town I'd been attracted to by an AP, 3-paragraph thing about the police station in Carabel, Florida, is a phone booth on the main street. And we went down there, and sure enough, there it was. And Carabel wasn't much more than a couple of streets crossing and dirt. And I can't write the way you do, and I think you didn't need much writing, just the pictures of this town and the big burly police chief standing next to the phone booth, and the 3-legged dog kind of limping across the street. That said it all. Charles Kuralt made a living doing this kind of thing for 25 years for CBS on the road. And I was looking back on some of what he did and said, and he said that the stories he found were often not the things he thought he'd find or set out to find. It sounds like you had a different experience.
You know this as a reporter, you have a bead on an idea, and you do as much research as you can so that you have some sense of place and some sense of mission. But then you get on the plane or you get into your car and you travel several hundred miles, and life is different on the ground. Life is different realized in person than in the abstract. And so as a reporter and as a columnist, I'm always open to it changing, or that my interest will go this way rather than the way I had planned for. And I'm sure that happened almost every time.
That's the nature of the business. Let's look at Venice, Louisiana, a place you went to right after the BP platform blew up in the Deepwater Horizon. And I don't know, 11 or 12 people were killed, and of course the Gulf Coast fisheries were closed and very damaged. Let me see. There's Dan Barry poetry here you need to hear. This is told from the perspective of a Vietnamese American by the name of Thuong Nguyen.
Yes, yeah.
That's as close as I'm going to get. Anyway, this is Venice, Louisiana, 2010, Dan Barry. Where the world runs out of road and into bayou, and all that is left beyond is the Gulf of Mexico, dozens of docked shrimp boats bob in place restless. They should be out right now, green nets trawling for cash in crustaceans. But here they sit, their dry nets not even catching the air. And Mr. Nguyen's life is very different because of that.
Yeah. So here's a mistake by BP. Here's an explosion, and the point was it's the Jimmy Breslin thing, right? Everyone's going this way. You go that way as much as you can. And so, who is this affecting ultimately? It's this Vietnamese American shrimper who came to this country and was subjected to all sorts of harassment for years and years. Mm-hmm. Imagine being Vietnamese and coming to the Gulf Coast and trying to cut into that business. It was very difficult.
That culture, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a hard life, And his
he didn't even want to be a fisherman. I mean,
no,
he got sick on the boats. And
I know.
It wasn't his.
I know.
What did you say in the story? A brother called him from. He had been in some other state, and his brother called. I need help here in Louisiana. Come and help me.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And his piece was being out in the Gulf of Mexico, on his shrimp boat at night and seeing the constellations above him. That's what gave him peace. And so, let's find that guy. Let's hear his story about how this Gulf spill is affecting him.
And it was affecting him kind of in tune with the tattoo he had on his shoulder or arm or something in Vietnamese, but it said, "Life is hard."
Life is hard, right?
Yeah, and life was hard for him at this particular point, and
right.
And you talk about the racial animosity toward this, the slurs, the things that happened to you, and you speak in his voice in the story, and you write. How do you say, I'm an American citizen now? I'm married to an American. I have children. I was working at a battery factory in St. Joseph, Missouri, when my uncle asked me to help him on his shrimp boat. So we live here now in Plaquemine Parish.
Mm-hmm.
And
he represents. We're in a divisive moment in our country, but to me, he represents all of us in his resilience and his determination to do well by his family. That's what drives him to go out into this very difficult work life. He's trying to do the best for his family. And like most of us, he's an immigrant or a child of immigrants.
Yeah, there's the, I don't know, necessity, maybe it's not a necessity, but there's the drive to say, okay, 10 years worth of dispatches from the land, all 50 states. What do we learn? What's it about? What's the story? And you say essentially resilience. You aren't involved with politics at all. None of this is about politics.
Very little of it is, yeah.
And
that was by design.
Yeah, and a good design, I think. Resilience. I mean, talk about that a little more. It's we're
sure. What struck me was. No matter whether you're red or blue or what have you, that ultimately we come together. So when the Mississippi overflows its banks in Missouri, I witnessed this. People of all stripes and colors come together and they fill bags with sand and they stack them. They even let the inmates out of the local prison. There's no expectation that the inmates are going to run away. They know what their job is, and they're trying to hold back the river. Yeah. And in Springfield, Massachusetts, on the night that Obama was elected, while many of us were celebrating the first African-American president, some knuckleheads in the North, not the South, in Massachusetts, set fire to a brand new African-American church and burned it to the ground. And so what do you do with that? The bishop of that church wept for a while, and he was there seeing the sinners going up in the sky like souls. Yeah. And then he says, we're going to rebuild. And he does. And the community comes together and they help him rebuild. So I take heart in that. Even in these fractious times, I take heart in in that kind of response that we have to crisis and to who we are as a country. Now, that could be Pollyanna-ish, but I'm going to go with it.
I wouldn't describe it as Pollyannish. I mean, it's fundamental, it
Right.
seems to me. And, well, on that vein, Brazilians, talk about the mayor, the black mayor of Greenwood, I think it was, Louisiana. You come and meet him after his house, his home. Somebody's fired a bullet through the window.
Right. As I recall, I mean, it was one of the first columns I wrote, so that goes back to 2007. The bullet, I think maybe 2 bullets, were shot through his large living room window, not too far from where his young daughter, I think a teenage daughter, would play the piano. And that detail to me, the idea that a daughter is playing music, which is something that elevates us, and then here comes this intrusion of a bullet into their house, into the domicile. And, you know, he perceived it as a threat. Stop being the mayor here. It's outside of Shreveport. Why don't you get out of here? And now he doubled down. He's staying. You know, that's resolve. And that's proper.
Yeah. We're talking about Dan Barry's collection, This Land, collection of columns, but I'd be remiss if I didn't point you toward a recent project that Dan finished for the New York Times called The Case of Jane Doe Ponytail, an epic tragedy on a small block in Queens. It was a special section of the paper on October 15th, and if you haven't read that, stop, go to the New York Times and get a copy or get it off online. The Case of Jane Doe Ponytail, just a heartbreaking and remarkable story of the death of a 38-year-old sex worker on a dismal block in Queens. If you want a master class in narrative writing, that is it. These things are it. But so you need to go look at that. A word or two about Jane Doe Ponytail. Why would you even be interested in that story?
I grew up on tabloid newspapers. Those are the voices in my head, right?
Yeah, as we all do.
Right, and so I was reading one of the newspapers in the city, and it summed up this incident in November 2017 with a headline that said, "Prosty Death Leap Fleeing Cops." And it was only about 100 or 150 words. And I'm not going to use a bad word, but it really ticked me off.
It pissed you off, is the word you...
It pissed me off.
It's the word you use, and
right.
And I can see why. I mean,
you know, to sum up a woman's life with the term prosty, and I've been around a long time, and I covered the cops a long time. I haven't heard that word before out of prosty. And so that ticked me off so much that I said, I want to know who this woman is, who she was. Let's give dignity to her life. And how did she find herself in these circumstances on 40th Road, where most of us, if we've been there, is to stop at a Chinese restaurant we've heard about, and then we're out of there. And she was working in one of these many massage parlors in that stretch of Queens. Who was she? How did she come here? How did this happen? What were the police doing? Let's give this prosty a name and a recognition of the worth of her life.
well, if you want to... I guess I'm overusing the word poetry, but it's just magnificent writing. And this is how the Case of Jane Doe Ponytail begins. Dan Barry writing, "A woman begins to fall with her long dark hair in a ponytail and her black and red scarf loose around her neck. She is plummeting from a 4th floor balcony through the neon-charged night." And the picture of this woman falling freezes there, and 9,500 words later, we get the whole story.
Yeah.
And it's a remarkable piece of work.
Thank you.
Let's go back to This Land for a moment, which is also a remarkable collection. And you were talking a minute ago about, you know, I think you put it in the book here in the intro maybe, in these fractious times, you wonder if there's a center. And you've been to the center of the country. I was surprised, you know, my geography is horrible. I was surprised it was so far north, the geographic center of the country.
Belle Fourche, South Dakota. Right. It's outside. It's not even Belle Fourche. It's outside of Belle Fourche by several miles. But Belle Fourche uses that claim for tourism.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's based on how the government figures out where the center is. And it moved a little bit when Hawaii and Alaska joined the country. And so it wound up in a cow field in the middle of nowhere in South Dakota. And if you go there, you're on a secondary road, and then you turn onto a dirt road, and you travel for about 4 or 5 miles. And then you'll see, in the middle of nowhere, a flagpole. And when I was there, there was an American flag, you know, blowing in the wind, and it was ragged from the wind and the elements and everything. And then you climb over the fence, and you wander through this field that's all pocked with hoof marks and everything. And then there's a little disc placed by the American government saying, "Center of the Nation." And so, and then it's whether the center will hold, and the center will hold.
The center will hold. And if you doubt that, you just go to, what's the name of this place?
It's outside of Belle Fourche, South Dakota.
Okay. I'm booking a flight.
Yeah, you'll have to beat the tourism rush.
Dan Barry, it's a delight to talk
thank you
about
so much.
these stories and your work. It's magnificent, luminous, as I said, and thank you for this land and for all the work you do in the paper.
Thanks so much for having me, Tony.
Okay.
Very much.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.